Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar, Revolutionizing Cannabis Cultivation with Aloe Vera. My name is Tony Lang, and I'm the Associate Editor at Cannabis Business Times. In today's webinar, you will learn about Aloe Vera's surprising role in sustainable agriculture and cannabis cultivation. This presentation will provide an overview of the research and completed studies on agricultural aloe vera and its effects on plant and crop growth, how Aloe420 reduces reliance on chemicals and has zero negative environmental impact, and the growing veganic movement with solutions from Aloe420. To that end, we have with us today Ross Garrity, the CEO of Agri-Aloe, a Texas-based agricultural product wholesaler that offers a safe organic solution to growing better crops. Agri-Aloe is the parent company for Aloe420, which you're going to learn about today. And we also have with us today Ross Martinez, the founder of VJ Farms, a Texas-based family-owned hemp farm that utilizes spring-watered and sun-grown hemp for its full-spectrum products. But before we get started with this insights-filled presentation, I just want to make a few quick housekeeping notes. First, you're going to see at the bottom of your screen a Q&A button. If you click that, that will open the Q&A box. So please feel free to type in your questions as we move through the presentation, and we will get to as many as possible at the end of this event. Second, just know that we are recording today's webinar, and we're going to send a copy of the video to all registrants via email in the coming days. So keep a lookout for that. With that, I'm very pleased to introduce you to Ross Garrity and Ross Martinez, aka Ross and Ross. Welcome, guys.
Thank you.
Morning, y'all.
So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. As Tony said, Ross Garrity is my name. I'm proud to be here with Ross Martinez. Ross has been doing trials with us for the last year. I want to talk a lot about our product today and put some context around how we got to where we are with agricultural aloe vera. So the first part of the conversation is going to be around the genesis of aloe vera and how we got into agriculture, and then we're going to get really into the meat of the meeting, which is going to be around cannabis. And Ross Martinez will talk a lot about some of his experiences with growing cannabis with our products. So as Tony mentioned at the start, Agri-Aloe is the parent company. We are in Garland, Texas. Aloe420 has been a distributor for us for the last 4 or 5 years and has been very, very supportive in growing especially in the cannabis space. And Aloe420 is one of only 2 private label companies that we have, and we're proud to have them as a partner. As we go into today, I'd like to talk about, a lot of people have heard about aloe vera and its role in human use and consumer use over the years. It's probably one of the oldest known remedies, going back about 6,000 years to ancient Egypt, and documented all that way back, and known as the plant of immortality. And so, as we've come to know about aloe vera over the years, Bill Coates has been working on aloe vera for the last 60 years of his life. And unfortunately, Bill passed away on the 31st of August of this year. So we're very sad to see Bill leave us, but he has a tremendous legacy that he's left, not only for us, but I would say for the world. And just a little bit about Bill's history, because I think putting this in, like I said, in context is very important. So in the late 1950s and going to the 1960s, Bill was a pharmacist at University of Texas and was learning about herbal remedies, and he was intrigued by the aloe vera plant. And that really started off his investigation into the stabilization of aloe vera. Up until then, people have used aloe vera for many things, but you had to have an aloe vera plant available to you where you could cut the leaf off and use the gel either for burns or cuts or for whatever use you're going to use it for. And Bill thought, well, if he could stabilize that so that you could use it without having an aloe vera plant, there would be a huge breakthrough. So in the 1960s, he started the invention of what became the very first patent of aloe vera, stabilized aloe vera, and really started off the consumer industry for aloe vera in the late 60s, 1968 to be exact. Since that time, Bill has done many things, and I really liken him to a number of inventors like Bell and others that have done amazing things for humanity. Bill's inventions have helped people across the world by allowing them to have the use of aloe vera in consumables and nutrients and health foods and stuff. Right now, the last 15 to 20 years of his life was very dedicated to agriculture, and as a first person to invent this product and the stabilization process, he was also the first person in the world to broad acre farm aloe vera. He had 1,000 acres growing in Mission, Texas. His second patent was the whole leaf patent, and then he got into agriculture. And we're very proud that with agriculture, and I know one of the great things that he left as a legacy to us was the first 2 patents for use of agriculture, use of aloe vera in agriculture. And we are the only company in the world that has patents for the use of agriculture, use of aloe vera. I want to talk a little bit about the difference between consumable aloe vera and agricultural aloe vera. We've got this picture up here. As you can see, the arrows point to the inner gel. The very first patent that Bill made in the 1960s was really taking the aloe vera leaf and filleting it like a fish and taking the gel out and then stabilizing that gel for use for human consumption. And that patent is still in use today, and a lot of companies still sell products with that gel. In the 1980s, Bill realized that the plant itself had a lot more to offer. And if you can see, there's an arrow pointing to the outer skin, and then another one to what we call anthraquinones. The anthraquinones are the laxative effect of aloe vera that we have to strip out for human consumption, but for agriculture, they are left in. But when Bill worked out that 80% of the activity of the aloe vera plant is not actually in the gel, it's actually in that little piece called anthraquinone, that is where we are now getting all the activity for the aloe vera plant to provide to agriculture. So when you look at the difference between, this is a consumable product, this is what we drink, a nutritional supplement, this is agricultural aloe vera, 2 very, very different looking substances. Would not recommend drinking this one. This one is purely good to drink. But needless to say, there's quite a difference. And what I would also say is that the consumable aloe vera does not work in agriculture. So the agricultural aloe vera has to be used. People ask all the time what it is in aloe vera. So a little bit about the science of the plant itself. The aloe vera plant has known 122 compounds, and I've read in other articles where people say it's up to 200 compounds. But it's really very rich in just about everything, and it's the only plant that I've come across and in research that has all of these compounds broken down into these 15 different categories. And really, when you're talking to farmers and cannabis growers, they want to understand, what it is that's helping their plants to grow, what it is that's helping them repel insects and fungus and bacteria and that type of thing. I would draw the attention really to the 15 categories. The polysaccharides are what we'd call phytohormones. They're really helping with the growth of the plant. Amino acids, we have 22 amino acids in aloe vera. The human body in nutritional terms needs 23 amino acids for our bodies to function correctly. So aloe vera as a nutritional supplement for humans has just about every amino acid that we need. In terms of minerals, and many farmers ask about this because this is really the source of fertilizer, if you like, the biostimulant side of it, is really, what is the NPK, the nitrogen, how much potash and how much potassium does it have, and all the other trace elements and nutrients. But it is very rich in just about every nutrient, and they seem to work symbiotically. I mean, taking them out individually is not going to work, but when they're collectively used, all of these compounds help with growth. Farmers want to know what, especially as I said, the NPK and the micro and macronutrients are. So aloe vera has every macronutrient, 7 of them. The NPK levels, nitrogen about 0.5 percentage point, and we've had this tested. Potash, quite a small amount, about 0.16, and about 5%, phosphorus about 0.16, and potash about 5%, but also very high in calcium and high in sodium, and just about all the other trace elements like micronutrients as well in the product. Biostimulants, have been labeled, and people have been very slow to take them on. We've come across, especially in big agriculture, I call them generational farmers. So when you bring new products to them and ask them to use them, they typically are very loath to do that because they don't want to, lose their crops or lose their revenue stream. And so very small amounts are tested. And they've been given the title of snake oil because most of them really don't work. But the climate has changed, and we are now getting a lot of farmers who are testing this. In fact, I was in July, I went to Raleigh, North Carolina, and presented at the Global Summit for Biostimulants. And this was the first time ever that people had heard of aloe vera as an agricultural product. And really, what is different about our product and other products that are being accepted now into the marketplace, the patents that are behind them. And for anyone who's been through the patent process, it is timely, it's very expensive, and but it's well worth it if you can get them awarded, and Bill was awarded 2 of them. And to get a patent, it has to be innovative. It has to be the very first time that this has ever been done in the world. It has to be novel, and really the main thing that you have to show is that it actually works. So we have done all of that testing, and we've been awarded 2 patents. And interestingly enough, at the biostimulant conference, there was really only about 3 other companies or 3 other products that are out there that have been patented that people are using. And one of them comes from seaweed. They call biocetane, and the other is from earth called humic and fumaric acid that have been readily adopted. And now, hopefully, as people get to know our product more and more, we're going to be selling this into the market as a patented biostimulant. And we're not moving again. There we go. About 4 or 5 years ago, we really got into our very first users, really, of this product have been the cannabis industry. So in terms of, we've used it and everything, cannabis has been our longest standing trial, and we've been getting good results. So a lot of the testing and everything to understand the levels of concentration of our products has come from the testing in the cannabis industry, but we are also very, very big into other farming as well. I think we missed the protocol, John. It jumped.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. And so, like I said, we've been in many other farms as well. So rice has been a huge product for us that we've tested. Wheat, corn, cocoa, lots of different plants across the world, and we are testing internationally as well. But cannabis, as I said, has been one of our mainstays, and I'm going to hand it to Ross Martinez to talk a little bit about the protocols and what we're doing differently in cannabis growth as to other agricultural growth. So Ross, I'll hand it over to you for a minute.
Sure. So we used the Grow Aloe first this year, an early crop. We did an autoflower. So the seed soak was the first introduction to the plant, to the Aloe420. We made a 10% solution, and then direct seed all of our seeds into the pots. As soon as they started to sprout, after we saw mature leaves, we started to do a foliar spray. Continued the foliar spray once a week up until right before we were going to flower. And I decided to go ahead and try something different, and I fed it to them. In the foliar spray, the plants really, it seemed to keep bugs off of them. One thing I've noticed is that it also opens up the stoma on the plant leaf. So the plants were just respirating more. They were actually going through, their root zone was drying out a little bit faster because they were just breathing, taking in more CO2. So it definitely boosts the plant's metabolism up. And then when we fed it to them for the first time, we really saw the plants like react to it in real time. We fed them in the morning before the sun came up, and by the time the sun had come up, about an hour after, they were just standing at attention like I'd never really seen them do before. It seemed like they were spreading their leaves out almost, and they took on this deeper shade of green, a really healthy looking green that I hadn't noticed before. So being able to use the product throughout the grow is amazing. And even using in the cloning process, we use it as a root stimulant. So we would take a cutting, I'd put them in a bowl with a 5% solution of the grow out of the Aloe420, and then take them from there and into our rooting substrate. Those plants particularly, they rooted out 4 days faster than the other plants did. So you can use this product throughout the entire grow. As far as keeping bugs off, it's not going to kill any bugs, but it's going to make your plants not palatable to them. So you just don't see the pest pressure like you do with other, without treating or with using more toxic chemicals that we try and stay away from. Where I grow in East Texas in greenhouses. We deal a lot with heat and humidity. Basically, our plants get stressed out as much as you could stress them out. And with this particular grow, we got the test results in, and they all reached the highest, their genetic potential. There was no mycotoxins, none of the fungus present. So it was really, really miraculous to see a product live up to what it says it can do.
Yeah, and I would just add that we do go to market as a biostimulant. We do not sell ourselves as a insect repellent, but what we have found, there are 4 different things that Grow Aloe or Aloe420 will do for you. One is a biostimulant fertilizer. As a soil amendment, it's going to help with the soil. We've done a lot of testing, and what we've found is that the aloe puts the nutrients back into the soil. It helps the microbiome. For those who know a little bit about soil science, the microbiome is where all the good bacteria and fungi live that naturally generate the nutrients that you need for plants. So over the years, other farms have over-fertilized and killed off what we would call the microbiome, so they've become very reliant on fertilizers and synthetic products. What we find with our product, and especially also in the hemp and marijuana space, is that it's putting those good bacteria back into the soil and helping with the nutritional value of that. But as Ross Martinez was saying, the product also acts as a repellent. It doesn't kill insects, and we've had very, very good results with spider mites and aphis and other insects that attack the cannabis plants, and also with fungus as well. Things like root rot and bud rot. The product sprayed at the right concentration levels seems to alleviate those conditions as well. One of the things we have, and we learned this at the cannabis conference in Las Vegas, there is a big movement. Everyone knows about organic, but moving to the next generation, there are, I guess, the purists, you'd call them, now have found out that a lot of organic fertilizers, especially from cow manure and chicken litter and various things like that, that are full of heavy metals and are not truly what they would call organic. So there is a new terminology now called veganic. I'm going to let Ross explain how that works in cannabis as well.
Sure. So veganics, it's basically we're getting all of our plant nutrition from plants, really. A lot of times I'm sure y'all are familiar with using sorry, the words is escaping me. Using different mixes. You can make like a what's the word I'm looking for here?
Concentration?
It's not a concentration. It's like it's a
Formula?
It's a formula. Yeah, you brew basically with grass clippings or with some cow manure and other things to make your nutrients. This Grow Aloe fits all of those protocols and all of those standards. So with one product, you're not going to get all the way through your grow, and you're not going to get all the nutrients you need, but you're going to get the vast majority of them. So adding a little bit of nitrogen here in your grow, getting your concentrations right. Grow Aloe is great to add into your nutrient protocol and kind of get more of that veganic, organic end product.
And some of the benefits we're seeing with veganics, especially in cannabis, is adding higher it's higher cost, but the return on investment appears to be there as well, Ross, correct?
Yeah, definitely. Your terpene levels seem to be higher. The deep green in your end product seems to last a little bit longer, so it's got more of a bag appeal. And again, that nose, especially in hemp production, what I'm doing specifically with smokable flower, the terpenes and the nose just really hasn't been there with the genetics we've been working with. But I find that using Grow Aloe boosts that terpene level and really get higher concentration of terpenes in the end product.
So one of the really interesting I guess the things I've learned about hemp farming and understanding from Ross and working with him, there's more and more hemp being grown, not just in the US here, but around the world. And some of the results, especially in the climate we live in, with a lot of people looking at sustainability and various things like that, hemp plays a very important part. And just some of the statistics here I thought were quite fantastic. A hectare of cannabis releases as much oxygen as 25 hectares, and that to the Americans is about 2.2 acres to the hectare, so about 50 acres of forest. And cannabis grows in 4 months, where it takes 20 to 25, 50 years to grow trees that do the same thing. Well, some of the other and great things it does replace the plastic industry. I mean, it can
hemp, and especially like they've even been using hemp on super sites to take up, if there's been a spill of some kind in an industry, they can bring hemp into the substrate, and it lifts out heavy metal. So then they can harvest that hemp, and it's got all the heavy metal residue from that soil. They can grow 3 or 4 times in a contaminated soil site, and then they go and test, and those heavy metals are devoid. So hemp and aloe vera, just as plants and what they can do, are pretty amazing.
Yeah. This is how we really got together with Ross Martinez, and we are always looking for farmers to take on trials with us. To date, we've worked with a number of farmers. Ross has been with us about 12 months now. We've done other tests in California and in Canada, but we are always on the lookout for people who are willing to work with us and communicate and go through the whole process, that we would go hand in hand to help you go through that, and using the experience of other growers who've used it to show you the right concentration levels, what time of the day to soak it, and when to spray it, that type of thing. So my offer out there to everyone who's watching today, and you'll have our contact information for Aloe420 and also for my company. We'd love to sign people up if you're willing to take on that test. And everyone today will get who signed up for this will get a 10-gram package of our concentrated powder. This powder mixes with about 2 gallons of water and sprays quite a big area, so it's a good little test to have. And also, we're actually, people who are on the conference today are also going to get the option of a hat, everyone who stays to the end of the conference, which is not that too far away, but white and green with the Aloe420 logos on it. We'll be happy to send those out as well. A little bit about our products now. We have two different products. They come in concentrated powder, and we've also now got a ready-to-use liquid, which I'll show you in a minute. The Aloe420 powder is highly concentrated. It takes 100 kilos so that's 220 pounds of aloe vera gel to make 1 kilo of aloe vera powder. So taking that, it is highly concentrated. When we mix it, it doesn't take very much. A teaspoonful of aloe vera powder, which is a little bit less than this, but we'll do about 2 gallons of water. That 1 kilo bag will mix with about 350 gallons of water. We use that a lot in broadacre farming. We also offer it in 100 gram, 50 gram, which is made up of basically 5 of these in 10 gram packages, and then the 10 gram packages themselves. I know that Ross has been using mostly the powder, right, Ross, and concentrate.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you know, you do need to mix it, you need to measure it, and you know, it is highly soluble. So when it hits the water, it mixes with water very, very quickly. This is our powder we sell in 1 kilos right here. That's what it looks like. And then the latest addition to and if you want to see the color of aloe powder, you can see it here. It's a browny tan sort of a color. And again, if you were to see this against a consumable powder, which you can get as well, it is a lot darker. It's got a lot more of the solids in it than the consumable product. The very latest additions to our products we're very proud to have. These are ready to use spray. This is a hose end spray, so it connects to the hose, and it is already at a concentration level that will come out at around about 9 to 10%, which aloe vera on cannabis. Cannabis seems to like really high concentrations of aloe vera. Just to give an example, in broadacre farming, traditionally like rice and wheat and other crops like that, we would put it on at about a 4 or 5% concentration. But the cannabis plants love this. We also have, in addition to the RTU, the ready to use, we have an RTS. This is a ready to spray. So this has been already pre-mixed. Has a little bit of preservative. That's the other thing I would say to you. The difference between the powder and the liquid. The powder is 100% organic or veganic. It has been grown without any animal products or anything going into it. It is 100% veganic. This is really good for indoors. It has an adjustable spray nozzle on here. It can come out as a stream or as a mist spray. So if you're doing a root soak, you can get right into the roots, or a spray to mist spray the whole plant. You just open this up a little bit more until it comes out as a fine mist. And then in addition to these ones, what we're also coming out, and you can see on the screen, probably to your right-hand side, is a 1 gallon, which these are more for hydroponic use. And then there's a 32 ounce also for hydroponic use. So we're seeing a lot more of that in cannabis growing, where you can add that 1 gallon of water to about 100 gallons of water. That 1 gallon of Grow Aloe420 to about 100 gallons of water, and that would be streaming through your hydroponic system. So that's our products. We have a lot more research that we're doing in various forms, but you know, as Ross said, we have had a lot of success. We've got, I think, currently with our partners like Aloe420, over 300 farmers in the US using our products currently. We want to get that to a bigger number, and that's what we're working on today. So that's what we have to offer you. Our products, as I said, this has been many years of research and you know, going through the patenting process. And Bill's 60 years of writing 7 books on the subject about aloe vera in various different forms. One called Silent Healer, which is all about what it does to human beings. And the book on agriculture is one that we are going to be bringing out very shortly as well, which is really something that I've been working with Bill on, and we're going to co-author that, and it'll be brought out into the marketplace very soon here. But we thank you for your participation. We want to open this up for questioning. Ross, you got something on
Yeah,
spray?
just a real quick, I've got a couple of cannabis plants here with us. We got this is a hot blonde. This is one of our hemp plants that we grow, but just the ease of use, especially, you know, for small scale, like Ross was talking about doing a root zone. If you want to get in there, you can just spray this stuff right down in the root zone there, and then come over the top with a little bit of water, like your regular, regular rooting cycle or watering cycle, and it's going to give it a great boost. And also the same formula, you can spray the top of the plant and just get it a good foliar spray. So the ease of use for these products, especially for people who are just getting into cannabis or just getting into cultivation, it offers a lot of, solid solutions for that.
And I got that all over my arm.
And I got it on me.
I'm going to be growing as well.
Yes, smell like a cannabis plant today.
But we're very excited about our product, and we know we are the only company in the world that has it. Anyone else who is selling this, who doesn't have the patent information or the formulas of how to make it, this is a product that's made specifically for cannabis growers. And like I said, we're love to have other farmers. If you're watching the webinar today and you have a need, please reach out to us. We'd love to talk to you. And with that, I'm going to open it up to questions.
Okay, thanks, Ross. And Ross, appreciate it. Like the demo there. So just a reminder to our audience members, we will be sending out a recording of this presentation in about 3 to 5 business days. So anyone who registered will have access to a replay of this video. It'll also be on cannabisbusinesstimes.com under our videos tab for everyone else to view there. All right, questions. So this question's from Aaron. What is the extraction process to concentrate, and how does it differ from other products such as active aloe? I have been using their product for years, and I believe they have a patent on their freeze-drying extraction process.
Okay, so like I said, it really comes down to the process of how the plant is harvested, and the maceration process of how you extract the gel, and then what the filtration systems that it goes through. So for consumables, you have to take all those compounds out of the plant that would have any harmful effect. And the plant itself is not poisonous. You can eat it, and people still do, but it does have a very, very high laxative effect, and it used to be sold as a laxative. But that process, the patent that they have, would be the consumable process, which would strip out pretty much most of the active ingredients that we want to keep in the plant for agriculture. And that is what Bill's patents, both for the invention and the use of the product, give you. And as I showed you, the two products are totally different. And even the powders, the color of the powder is totally different. So, so if you're using it and you're getting benefit from it, keep using it. But if you want to try our product, and as I said, we're the only ones that have this on the market, we'd love to have you try it out.
Yeah, great info. Thank you. So another question here. 1 kilo yields to 350 gallons. Would that be for foliar spray or for soil drench?
So for both, and
For both.
So and when you're talking about 350 gallons, you're talking about probably covering an area of about 10 acres or 5 acres at a 10% concentration. So that covers a lot of space. So most of the 1 kilos that we sell We do sell it, a lot of it into cannabis, but a lot more goes into big ag where, you know, you're spraying, you know, 50 to 100 acres of rice as an example. And they're using that with boom sprayers. We've done it with aircraft. We've done it also with drones. So a lot of different methods of putting on, but it is highly concentrated. Yeah. So.
And one way that I would feed my plants, I would use a fertilizer injector. So I would use a 5-gallon bucket and go ahead and make a 20% solution, so a little bit higher, because it's going to get, obviously it's going to get mixed with water as it feeds into my plants. But I would water 40 plants at a time at 10-minute intervals, and I would be able to water close to 500 plants off of those 5 gallons. So I'm scaling it back a little bit because I'm really giving it to it every time I water or feed. You know, every time we water feed, we're giving the plant something. So that's one way that I use it, and I would alternate between the Grow Aloe and then my other, you know, the more traditional fertilizer salts that I would use.
And I think one of the big, you know, just talking about benefits of using our product. There are a lot of products out there, and I'm not telling people to stop using the products. In fact, our product supplements a lot of products, but there is an enormous cost benefit in using one product like this that does 4 different things other than using 4 different products. So I think from a overall, you know, cost of growing standpoint, Ross, would you agree?
Yeah, cost of growing and safety. You know, it's using it as a foliar spray, it's all over the plant. So, you know, when we use other more, you know, caustic chemicals, it's really important that your staff is using, or yourself, you're using a lot of PPP. You got gloves on. With this, yes, you want to still be using PPP for safe practices, but it's less of a concern. You know, nobody's gonna get sick from touching your plants and having Grow Aloe all over them. So that's another benefit. It's just safer for your work environment too.
This next question is from Sheila. Have you done experiments with and without Aloe420? And what is the % increase in growth and yield with Aloe420?
Yeah, great question. I actually did side by side of the same plant genetics. So I would do 40 plants, I'd do close to 80 plants being sprayed with Grow Aloe or Aloe420, and then 80 plants not being sprayed, just use my other regular protocol. And we're going to pull up a video pretty soon. You'll be able to see, I could see the color difference and more uniformity in the grow. More deeper green, less pest pressure that I saw. And then when we got our lab results, those plants reached their genetic potential. So they were the highest that they could be. You know, you get a readout of what the plant genetic potential can be with it, whatever strains or cultivars you're growing. And the plants that we use Grow Aloe with were all at the top of the marks that they could be.
Perfect. Yeah. So this next question is from Ryan here. How consistent is the extracts from batch to batch? In other words, does the chemical composition change when processed different crops of aloe?
So there's another great question. Our aloe comes from one farm, and it has been for the last 40 odd years. We have a very good partnership with a farmer in central Mexico where we have about 2,000 acres of aloe growing, and the aloe that is taken for our products comes from exactly the same source. So it is very, very, it's the same every time. We have no variations in the product itself.
And then when you're utilizing the product just to maintain consistency, is you want to only mix up as much as you're going to use if you're using the powdered product, because it doesn't have there's no other chemicals in there, nothing to keep it shelf proof. It will kind of turn on you if it's sitting in a reservoir.
Yeah, so that's again the difference between the RTU and the RTS is that this has to have preservative in it, very, very, very small amount of sodium benzoate and potassium sorbate that keeps this, and a little bit of citric acid to get the pH level to where it needs to be. but the concentrated powder is 100% organic or veganic. It has zero preservative. It is pure aloe vera.
You'll get a consistent product no matter which batch you get from Aloe420.
Next question. So this grower says, I have 1 acre of canopy and we use 40,000 gallons of water per week. How much of your products would I need? If you want to do some quick math there.
Yeah. We'd have to do some quick math. It kind of depends on the soil that is this in the ground or is it hydroponics? It kind of depends on what you're doing, but you'd probably need a couple of kilos, for your grow throughout your grow. And you can, the 10% solution is the, the recommended. But like I said, I've scaled it back a little bit more just to get more frequency out of the spraying, and it does the trick. But if you want to email us directly, we could really scale a protocol for your farm. I just need a couple more questions to kind of answer that really detailed.
Right. Yeah, it's I'm sure a few audience members, what's the best way to contact you guys for these types of questions?
So you can go straight to Aloe420 to Mark Rubenstein and Sam's last name. Yeah. Anyway, Sam and Mark are at Aloe420. Their information will be here, or you can come to us directly. We will also have our information posted, emails and everything else.
Right. Next question. So this grow says, well, let me just hold on just a second here. So we have one person saying, thank you, would love to try your product and do some trials to compare results. Just kind of going into more depth, what would like a trial run almost look like for someone who's not sure whether, they want to make the switch?
What I would do is, one thing that I noticed, as growers in the industry, we get a lot of inquiries on different products. People send me stuff, be like, hey, get this product and go ahead and try it and tell us how it goes. It's like, well, as I'm running a business, I can't really just risk running a product and it not working for us. So with Grow Aloe420, they really, if you are interested in using the product, they can help you out throughout growing. We give you support. We make sure that any questions are answered, to kind of ease the mind of the grower who is growing this stuff for a business. But doing side-by-side comparisons it'll convince you to use this product on your grows from here on out. That's the way I did it. And now Grow Aloe is part of our program from here on out.
And we've visited farmers. With technology now, with Zoom and Teams and various other means of communication. I mean, we do communicate directly with farmers as they are, going through these trials, especially for the first time. That a little bit of hesitancy to spray it when you don't know what concentration level or where to spray it or how to spray it. We're happy to get with you and show you how to do that.
Right. Yeah, and obviously, different plants could react differently based on growing conditions and whatnot. We have a question from, and maybe based on cultivars and different strains even maybe. We have a question here from Adam asking, what adverse effects have you seen from using high concentrations?
I honestly haven't seen any negative. I haven't seen any plant burn. I haven't seen any wilting or root rot associated with using a bunch of this product. I haven't used it in really higher a concentration than 20%. So I can't say that.
Yeah, I think there is, and we've seen this in big agriculture as well, Adam, where there are diminishing returns. You get to a point where you don't want to waste your money on a product. So, as I said, we've been through a lot of this testing, and the 8 to 10% level in cannabis seems to be the right level. But cannabis loves it. And if it takes 20%, that's great. But again, I would just say, keep it to what we state. I think at a 10% spray concentration, you're going to get very good results.
So Jonathan is asking, is it only one type of aloe that you grow, and what specific species are you growing?
Yep. Another very good question. So, when Bill started doing research many years ago on aloe, there is, well over 100 varieties of aloe vera in the world, and there's only really 3 that have all the compounds and all the nutrients that we would want to use. And the one that we use is probably the most common, is called Aloe Vera barbadensis Miller. The other is Aloe Vera chinensia, which is a Chinese one, and then Cape Aloe, which comes out of South Africa, is the third. But we are predominantly, and most of the world is predominantly using Aloe Vera barbadensis Miller. That's what you'll find pretty much in every store, as both consumables as well as our agricultural product.
I have a question from Aaron here. I have read that aloe plants need to be at least 3 to 5 years old for them to develop the array of different beneficial compounds to their full potential. First of all, is this true? And can you tell us about your starting material and farming practices in raising the plants?
Absolutely, another great question. So, the aloe vera plant takes about 18 months to 2 years to reach maturity or full potential, not 5 years. So and in fact, even the baby plant, I've got one right here. You can see this plant this is probably about 9 to 10 months old. It's come from what we call a pup. It's not a cutting, but the female plant puts out pups, and we take those and transplant them. Those pups take, like I said, about 18 months to 2 years to get to full maturity, where all of those compounds that I showed right at the start of the presentation at their highest peak. The other thing about the aloe vera plant that is really interesting is that it's a crop that you don't have to replace. It grows continuously for about 10 years. So all you're doing is cutting the base leaves off and using those, and about every 3 to 4 months, you're reharvesting, and that crop will keep on growing upwards of 10 years.
Thanks for that. Just a reminder to our audience members, we have about 12 minutes left. So if you have any questions, click on that Q&A box and we'll try to get them answered here before the end. This question's from, well, I don't want to mispronounce anyone's names, but let me read the question here. Is the product CDFA, OMRI, or USDA certified organic?
It's another great question. So probably all of the above. We are USDA organically grown. The product in concentrated powder form, in this form, is OMRI, certified organic. And like I said before, we can't make that certification on here because it does have slightly more, a little bit of like I said, preservative in it. So we call it natural, not organic. But you can look in the OMRI, the latest 2023 version, and you'll see our company listed in there. In fact, we've just gone through the whole audit process again just recently with them to be reclassified as an organic company.
So yeah, obviously, we've heard about aloe vera for a long time with the medicinal benefits from skincare and healing wounds and whatnot. This question is, why has no one really heard about aloe vera's role in agriculture and cannabis cultivation until now?
It's a good question again. So I think, just over the years, it took Bill, and as I said, he was growing a lot of aloe vera, 1,000 acres of aloe vera in Mission, Texas, and where they were manufacturing the product and taking the outer leaf after they'd extracted the gel and dumping it, they were finding that it was, everywhere they put that, the plants would green up, and farmers around the area were asking, what are you doing? And that's really what started the hypothesis that Bill had, that aloe vera, if it, it did good things to human beings, maybe it would do good things to agriculture. So really that was the genesis of how he started researching agriculture. I think we are leading the way, and this is we've led the way in many other products and nutritional and everything throughout the 60 years of Bill's life. But I'd never heard of it in agriculture, and everyone we talk to has never heard of it in agriculture. So we're very proud to be the only company in the world that has this patent and the actual product itself that we're proud to offer to the public now.
And it seems like with more traditional, commodity grows, corn, soybeans, they've got their protocol kind of set in place, and there's a lot of other banking factors, insurance factors that kind of dictate what they can use. And cannabis is a new industry, and we're always, we're on the cutting edge of a lot of things in agriculture because we have the freedom to kind of dictate how we do business. So I think that also is another reason that you don't hear about it being used in more traditional commodities.
But we talked to a lot of different farmers, and I know this is about cannabis, but we've had success in rice. We've been working in Vietnam for the last 2 years and had phenomenal results coming out of there. Just about every plant we put this on, especially vegetables and things like that, we get increased yields. We have tomato plants where we've had up to 50% increase in yields. We've had rice with 30 to 40% increase in yields. And again, I'm not saying that we do away with fertilizers completely, but what we are trying to do is bring back some form of regenerative, sustainable farming that we've sort of got away from. And I feel like our product is specifically designed for that. So we have just one other thing I would add, and I know we're going to run out of time here. We one of the things that we've done with farming is testing soil. And I mentioned very briefly at the start about the microbiome, or the soil that our plants live in, which is made up of billions of microbes, bacteria, fungi, and various things. We have tested on a side-by-side where we have done a control and a test, the soil before and after, where we've put heavy fertilizers, NPK. The microbiome, I would say, it's killed, but it reduces the bacteria and the fungi that naturally produce ammonia and other nutrients for the plants. On the other side, where we've tested, where the farmers have previously used fertilizers and chemicals, the after results when we've tested it, and we actually have partnered with a company called, they produce a product called a microbiometer. It's a download app that you can put on your phone, and you can do a test real time. What we've seen is increased activity level of bacteria and fungi in the other side. In fact, Ross Martinez has been into regenerative farming now for quite some time. The soil sample I took from his farm was the highest reading of bacteria and fungi that I've seen to date. So, this stuff really does work.
About 5 minutes left here. So how well does the product work with aeroponic systems? Since it is not soil, how does it impact root health?
Being able to use it foliarly or as a systemic, as a systemic feed, it'll do the same thing in an aeroponic grow that it will in a traditional soil grow. So you can add it to the reservoir to hit those roots. It'll get feed that way. And then again, using it as a foliar spray, it just really seems to boost the metabolism of the plant. So, and especially if anybody's using supplemental CO2 in their grow environment, you're really going to see a boost when you use the Aloe420 and the supplemental CO2. So I hope that kind of answers that question.
Next question here. How does Aloe420 work in conjunction with my existing regimen and other products?
Yeah, you can basically just substitute the Grow Aloe or the Aloe420, I'm sorry, for a watering cycle or a feeding cycle. You can put it in with your pest control as well. it's not gonna overpower or diminish the return from your other products that you're using. So it's, in that regard, it's really great. It's not, there's no chemicals that are going to react with anything that you're using right now to make a, to make a toxic environment for your plants.
Great. So obviously, people who spend a lot of money on beneficial insects don't want to, take a step backward here. Does, or affect those beneficial insects. We hear people spraying pesticides on their plant right after releasing their beneficial insects, which may or may not be the smartest thing. But the question here is, does Aloe420 affect beneficial insects?
I haven't seen it deter any beneficial insects on the, in the grow environment that we were using when we sprayed side by side. You would find, like, I would find ladybugs on the plants that didn't have grow aloe, because they were feeding on those little mites and what they go after. I didn't see that on my other plants that we were using Aloe420 on, because they were getting treated, and it just didn't seem to be a good environment for those mites to want to be at. But I didn't see any kind of I didn't see dead bugs around those plants, so it's not killing anything.
Yeah, we had one of the things we did some years back was a test with the University of British Columbia around bees and pollination, and the test coming out of that showed no impact on bees or pollination. So we feel that it repels the insects that you don't want, but it does not impact beneficial insects.
How does it affect plant stress levels?
It seems to reduce the plant stress level considerably. Like I said, I grow in an environment where we can control a lot of our environmental controls, but we're susceptible to heat and humidity. It seems like, I mean, we had plants in August of this year, and we were hot, that were 5 weeks in flowering, and when we got our tests back, they weren't spiked with THC, because we're growing hemp, so that's THC spikes are something that we look for. We were good, so it seems to really bring the stress level down, and it just gives them the tools to be equipped to fight off the things that they have to fight off during a grow.
So
Maybe time for one last question here. Can't I use the aloe vera plants I have in my garden to do the same thing?
the short answer is yes. You can, if you know how to macerate to get the extract out of them, then absolutely you can. But it can be used, and so there is magic behind it, but it's not that, we're not, if you're using it for human consumption, you can use your aloe vera plant straight out of the garden, and a lot of people do grow it for that purpose, and the same in agriculture. So all we're doing is making it easier for the population to use it and show you how to use it. But Tony, I know this is the last question, and I just want to say, as we wrap up here, that it's been a privilege and an honor to speak to everyone. We missed a lot of people at the cannabis conference. I spoke, and Ross Martinez spoke at the cannabis conference, and I know through popular demand we had a lot of people requesting that we would do this webinar today. So we appreciate you and your team for helping us. But for everyone who's watching, really appreciate taking an hour out of your day. For those who you're going to send it out to, Tony, in emails or whatever format, we're happy to answer any questions they may have as well. But again, I really appreciate, on behalf of the parent company, Coates Agri-Aloe, our whole team. I really appreciate Ross Martinez, who's come from a 2 or 3 hour drive to be here today with us to be on the webinar. But again, we are proud of our products. We are proud to have something that nobody else has. And with that, I would just say thank you, and adios.
Yep. We appreciate you guys too. One last thing, just to that note, remind you that, we will send out that video, the recording of this webinar to everyone. And if Ross and Ross, if we didn't get to anybody's questions or comments, they will follow up with you after this webinar. So-
Absolutely. We would take any time.
Yeah,
anyone's called.
as many questions.
Absolutely.
all right. Well, hey, great presentation. Thanks a lot, guys, and take care.
Thank you. Happy growing.